Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to H2UB. Welcome to our fourth deep dive into the hydrogen economy. My name is Robin Ebing, and I'm in charge of the events and projects here at H2UB, which means that I organize and implement the events we design on ourselves, like the deep dive sessions and startup meetups and so on, as well as the ones we participate at, for example, conferences, startups, or startup conventions, and trade fairs. And this is exactly the topic we would like to tackle in our session for today. Around the next 60 to 90 minutes, we will concentrate on all the aspects of live marketing and physical events, their pros and cons, and how important it is to go there, be there, no matter if you are an exhibitor or just a visitor yourself. In 2020, the corona pandemic turned the industry completely upside down. Trade shows and conferences were cancelled, and within a very short time, many formats were switched to a digital alternative. Sometimes with a great success, but often with lower quality, less interest from the audience, and significantly less emotion. Who hasn't caught themselves registering for an online event, a webinar or something, and in the end, you might have not turned in for it. You worked in between, wrote some emails, or listened to it just with one ear. So if you're watching right now, thank you very much. I appreciate it. But for today, let's stick to the physical events and live performances that we all have missed in the past years. And let's talk about why exactly such events are relevant, especially for startups. When we had our first H2UB event in late 2021, we were very tentative, tried to be as careful as possible, and had an elaborate hygiene concept. And after the event, we sat together with the team and tried to make a plan and an event schedule for 2022 and asked us the questions: what events will and can take place under those circumstances? Which size will they be? And which regulations do we have to follow? And is this really how we have to experience and organize physical events in the future? Fortunately, it turned out much better than expected. And this summer, we saw a variety of great events. Large trade fairs and startup conventions took place, and we all had the possibility to actually show what we are doing to a broad audience. At H2UB, we had a blast kicking off the season with our first startup area at the Handelsblatt Hydrogen Summit, with 5 startups joining our community booth. And we're actually having the chance to meet in person in a larger group. Presenting, pitching, and chatting beside was lovely and an extraordinary thing for us to do. It has shown us how crucial the personal exchange and the need for physical meetings are. Unplanned encounters with exciting new contacts and the serendipity of meeting great people by chance, or the reunion of old acquaintances, has become even more important to us than it already was. And when it comes to presenting an innovation, it's not always just about the benefits, the advantages it brings, and how it stands out from the rest. It's also about how I can make it more appealing to someone. Of course, I can present a product that requires little explanation in a short video call. But especially in the case of hydrogen startups, we have products that are highly complex and often require a lot of explanation. You need a lot of more time to explain the really technical specifications, how everything comes together, and what makes your idea so groundbreaking. I know how convenient it is to give a presentation online, like now, but it's different. Not having to travel and saving a lot of effort is great, but you have to ask yourself if this is truly what brings you ahead. So I'm very happy that we can discuss these points with some experts from our network from various backgrounds with different approaches and opportunities. So we've invited some exciting guests to join us today. So hello guys, welcome. Great to see you. Glad to have you here.
Hey,
Hi, Robin. Good morning.
Morning.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for having.
Thanks for having me.
Great, perfect. So I think at first you guys like to introduce yourself and show why you've qualified for our expert round today. And then we will enter the discussions about the benefits of live marketing for startups and the experience we all made so far. So from our H2UB network, we've invited as experts today Malte Seifert from Messe Düsseldorf, Clemens Geider from the DigiHub, and Martin Wilhelm from Recotech, one of the startups from our network. Dear speakers, I'd like to introduce yourself briefly with a few sentences, and we go on in the detail later on that. So, Malte, would you like to start?
Absolutely,
Sure,
Robin.
thanks.
So thank you once again for having me. And my name is Malte Seifert. I'm project director for DCUB Expo and the metals portfolio at Messe Düsseldorf. Within the trade show industry more than 14 years, and I really look forward today to discuss this exciting topic and to support in the best way possible the different startups that you have in the hydrogen industry, and really to see what benefits we can deliver with live event marketing.
Great. Thank you, Malte. Clemens, could you go next?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Clemens Geider. I'm the managing director of the Digital Innovation Hub Düsseldorf Rhineland, together with Peter Hornig. We are a public-private funded project. We call ourselves an open innovation platform, and we are a matchmaker in the ecosystem and also an accelerator for startups.
Thank you, Clemens. Martin, last but not least.
Thank you. Also from my side, warm welcome. Thank you for having me. My name is Martin Wilhelm. I'm co-founder and managing director of Recotech. We're one of the startups within the hydrogen industry, and we're focusing on general power supply solutions from a design perspective, but also from a engineering perspective, as we do develop components for power supply to optimize the electricity supply of the green energy production.
Perfect, great. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you for the short introduction. But to see what you are doing in detail and why I asked you to join me today, I'd like you to tell the audience a little bit more about you and the organization you're working for. So again, I would like to start off with Marta right now. Please.
Yeah,
tell
I'm
us
the project
a little bit
director.
more about yourself and the DCUB Expo you're organizing at Messe Düsseldorf today.
Yeah, thank you, Robin, once again. Like I said, I'm project director for DCUB Expo at Messe Düsseldorf. First of all, what is Messe Düsseldorf? Messe Düsseldorf is one of the global leading and most successful trade show organizations in Germany. We host more than 40 events on a yearly basis at our venue in Düsseldorf. More than half of these exhibitions are the world leading trade shows in the specific fields. We have several industries that we cover at our venue and within our organization. This comes from chemical engineering with world leading events like K, Interpack, Glasstec, and so on. We have the retail and technology fields like Euroshop, Eurosys, and Provine is also well known in the city of Düsseldorf and surrounding and worldwide. We have the medical and health technologies with Medica, and of course, last but not least, lifestyle and beauty, as well as the leisure topics with boat and caravan, and with caravan, which just happened last week at our venue. And with the worldwide network, we're also doing these trade shows on an international stage. We have 75 international representatives that work in an international network with us together, and 6 subsidiaries worldwide with daughter companies in the US, in China, India, Singapore, Asia, and so on. When it comes to DCUB Expo, that's one of my projects that I'm in charge of, and DCUB Expo is more or less Messe Düsseldorf answer on the megatrends for climate protection and industrial decarbonization. And when we look into the development and transformation of various industries, it really reflects the current changes in the industry politics, NGOs, etc. And for us at Messe Düsseldorf, this is a really important topic to drive forward. As I just have mentioned, we have a lot of energy intensive industries that we cover with our trade shows at our venue in Düsseldorf. And what we have seen is that it's very important to bring startups and innovative companies together with already well-known players and combine them with the different application industries of energy-intensive industries. And that's what we're going to do at Decop Expo, to really have this business matching made happen on a single platform. Decop Expo is combined by three conferences. The one conference is done by the VDMA. It's the Power to X conference that's running on the 19th and 20th of September. We have the Eco Metals Days when it comes to the transformation within the metals industry for green steel, use of hydrogen, etc. That's the Eco Metals Day on the second day of the event. And last but not least, on all 3 days, we have the IRIS conference where it comes to topics of energy storage, which is covered by our partner from Eurosolar, which is also well known when it comes to our predecessor event, energy storage. And of course, we joined hand with new organizations like the H2UB or the colleagues from the VDMA Power to Applications sector. And last but not least, a really good seminar program all 3 days, which is included into the trade show, where we will discuss different sectors like the glass industry, the metals industry, the use of hydrogen when it comes to application, and of course energy storage. So this is what we can expect at Decop Expo. That's what I'm in charge of beside the metals portfolio, as I said. And really would love to see as much as possible people from the hydrogen industry to welcome at Decop Expo and to do business.
Perfect, great, thank you. So I have just a short question. Decop Expo is taking place this year for the first time as the successor of the energy storage, right? What do you think makes Decop Expo this year so special, and why should you definitely attend, whether as an exhibitor or visitor? What's about this great opportunity?
Well, it's basically what I just said when it comes to the really actuality of the topic itself. I think we see with different discussions within the energy sector, and that a lot of energy intensive industries are on their path to transformation to whatever green solution and targets they need to tackle when we look, for example, for the Fit for 55 topics within the EU Commission. And within the portfolio of Messe Düsseldorf, as I've just mentioned, is we have all the energy intensive industry, metals industry, the glass industry, the plastics industry, who all have to tackle different topics, and that they need solutions in different field of the industry. And we are convinced that with Decop Expo, we created a platform that will close the gap between the demand for new innovative technology and the supply by really established or new innovative companies like startups who have solutions for certain kind of problems of these industry. And we would like to offer a platform for this matchmaking to do business and to bring these companies together to discuss, to talk, to exchange, and to drive this topic forward.
Perfect, great. Thank you for your statement, Martin. So next in line will be Clemens again, telling us more about the DigiHub and the Digital Demo Day, which was in August this year, just 3 weeks ago. Clemens, as an absolute expert in events and organizer of one of the largest startup conventions in Germany, could you please tell us more about DigiHub and Demo Day? Clemens, we can't hear you.
Thanks, Robin, for sure. Happy to explain more around the DigiHub and also the Digital Demo Day. The DigiHub, together with 4 other digital innovation hubs, were initiated 6 years ago by the government of NRW, actually by the Ministry for Economics. And the purpose for all 5 hubs is until today that we boost the regional ecosystems for startups, and that we also drive the transformation, the digital transformation of small and medium-sized companies and also corporates in our region. And as you can see, we have a geographic focus. We have the region Düsseldorf, Rhineland, and the 4 other hubs focus on their specific areas. That means we work cross technologies, we work across industries, but with a focus on our region. Although we closely cooperate with all our hub colleagues in the other areas so that we create one unified ecosystem for NRW as a whole. I think that's also a big difference to the H2UB. You have a focus on technology, hydrogen technology and applications. You go across industries and you go international. So although the underlying concept is similar, the strategic direction is completely different. I think that's also important to know. And the fact that we have the focus on our Rhineland area and NRW is also the basis for the idea 6 years ago that we create a new lighthouse event for the startup ecosystem in the Rhineland area and also in NRW as a whole. And to create such a big startup convention, that simply takes time. You can't do it from one day to the other and have a expo as we had it this year with more than 200 startup exhibitors, more than 3,000 visitors, more than 40 speakers. That needs time. So 6 years ago, we started with the idea of the Digital Demo Day that we want to have a product show where you can touch and test and experience new product innovations of startups, and that we bring the corporate people and the people from small and medium-sized companies into this exhibition, and that they get known to the startups and their product innovations. In 6 years ago, we started with just 30 startups, I think 5 speakers and 500 people, 500 visitors. And then over the years, with a little dip in the Corona year, 2021, last year, we were constantly growing. And now, as you said, we are the biggest startup convention in NRW and one of the biggest events in Germany. And the ambition is that we grow our Demo Day further and that we really become an international known event. This year, we had already more than 30 startups from 11 different countries. The event is in English, not only the exhibition, but also the different stages, the main stage, the pitch stage, the workshops, everything in English. That is also to really underline, to stress our ambition that this is an international event for startups in Düsseldorf, in NRW.
Great. So you are living up to the spirit, think big, start small, and never stop working. That sounds perfect and great. Thank you for introducing DigiHub and Digital Demo Day and all the positive aspects that physical events and conventions bring. But can you tell me what makes it so special to organize an event for startups, and why is it so meaningful for startups to visit or exhibit on this kind of physical events? Is there a short answer you can give?
Last year we tried a hybrid event, so we had a physical event on the Areal Böhler. We had to do this in 2 big halls instead of 1 hall. We had to halve the number of visitors. So that concept was okay. I mean, people really recognized that we at least tried to have a physical event. At the same time, we did a lot of live streaming. However, I have to say, all the live streaming from the main stage, from the workshop, from the pitch stage, it worked. However, the number of spectators in our live streams were rather small. So that indicates that this is certainly a physical event, not a hybrid event, and not at all an online event. And that's because, as I said, it's about touching, testing, and experiencing product innovation. That is something you can't do in the online world. Even in the metaverse, that will be difficult. So it has to happen physically. The startups, they really have to show their products, their solutions, their technology to the visitors, and the visitors need to play around with it. They have to have discussions, questions. It's really something you can only achieve in the physical world. And we have a 100% focus on startups. There are no corporates, no other exhibitors, no shiny and fancy booths. It's really about the product innovation. It is the startups, they have to show it's their day. And everything else we organize around the Digital Day is also for the benefits of our startups. And later on I can tell a bit more about the additional benefits on top of just being an exhibitor at Demo Day as a startup.
Okay, great, perfect. Thank you, Clemens. Thanks. So next up, it's Martin's time to tell us more about yourself and Crecotech. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Robin. Yes, as I mentioned, my name is Martin Wilhelm. I'm co-founder and managing director of Crecotech. Crecotech is a relatively new company, so we founded the company earlier this year. So still new in the market field, but we're focusing on power electronics. We do see power electronics as one crucial component within the green hydrogen production, as it's one of the mandatory components to have an electricity supply as well as water availability to produce then green hydrogen using an electrolyzer. However, what we do see is that there is a certain need for getting a bit more focus on the capabilities of power electronics per se, also in the matchmaking of what are the needs from an electrolyzer perspective and how am I capable of fulfilling them with an inverter being offered, or if I have to adjust my portfolio as an inverter producer. So we're a small team of electrical engineers, basically. All our professional careers, we have been focusing on converter technology in various branches, such as PV solar, battery storage, and the wind industry. And now we are focusing on the upcoming market segment of hydrogen. And within that area, we focus on three different approaches. The first one is we do consult on options being available for companies doing a project work, and then see and review with an independent perspective what kind of solution might be the best from an operational point of view, but also for a long-term grid integration perspective, which becomes more and more important as hydrogen market is expected to grow drastically over the next years. And with that deployment, there might be upcoming topics of supporting the electrical grid. Even an electrolyzer is a load, an electrical load, and not a feeder, such as a wind turbine or a PV system itself. So we always have a strong focus due to our history and our professional experience on these kind of topics. In addition to the consulting work, we do design. So we have a industrial network, a professional network, which enables us to design a power supply solution from the medium voltage connection all the way up to the DC supply of an electrolyzer. We're not doing that on our own. We do have contacts within all the fields mandatory for doing that, and we have a certain understanding of the power electronics itself. So we always provide an independent view on different converter topologies as well as potential solutions there. And the third area we cover is basically a customer-specific engineering. So we picked a certain component within the power electronics, which is the so-called IGBT stack, which is basically creating the DC voltage, let's say. And we have the capabilities of engineering customer-specific solutions. And with that, we do target power conversion or power converter producers itself. who might face the need of adjusting their portfolio to the upcoming requirements of that new industry, but also for completely portfolio extension, for example. So this is something where we do offer engineering services also for bigger industry players.
Okay, thank you, Martin, for that great insight, and letting us know what Crecotech is doing and where you all guys come from and belong to and at the company. So Martin, Crecotech has now already participated in several events with us together. Thank you for that. It was a great time with you guys. For example, there was the Handelsblatt Hydrogen Summit and the eWorld in June. I think that were the first two events we both met and had the possibility to chat and see what we are doing. And can you tell me why Crecotech is such a good fit for these events? Why you participated and applied for joining us at the booths and coming with us to the events?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And we really appreciated the opportunities to join these events and also looking into the possibility of joining future events as well. So the reason behind has been we at Crecotech, as a relatively new company in the market, we need to first increase our visibility basically and to build our brand, to make people aware that we are there and that power electronics is a relevant topic also within the context of green hydrogen production. And then, of course, as a startup, you're always facing limited budgets, and hence from that point of view, we are limited in the selection, and we really appreciate the opportunity that we can join events which might sometimes be quite cost intensive, so to say, via the H2UB, and getting the opportunity, especially within the Handelsblatt Wasserstoffgipfel, also to pitch our company portfolio and so on. And overall, the experience with the H2UB has been very professional. Yet sometimes, even as a startup, we don't have a marketing department. It felt like we had one and working seamlessly together with you guys from an organizational standpoint. So it has always been clear what to prepare about when, what's the certain expectation, when to be where, basically, and really enjoyed the opportunity to build our brand, to have discussions, and also to meet different startups.
Thank you for your kind words, Martin. Great, lovely. So thank you all for your introductions, what you're doing, and what your expectations are for today. I guess we can switch to our open discussion we're all waiting for on the topic about how to showcase your expertise in innovation. Happy to have you all together right now at the screen, and so we can tackle how to upgrade the communication of a startup. First of all, I'd like to ask you all the question, what's most important for a startup when they exhibit on conventions and trade fairs? Is it all about the presentation of a startup and the sales, or is there more to keep an eye on? Who likes to go first?
Yeah, maybe I take the question. As I mentioned, for us, it's extremely important to raise the general awareness that a company is existing, what kind of portfolio we offer. So that could be, of course, looking more into the classical way of what's our offer, what we are doing. But it's also, like I mentioned earlier, building the brand and increase the recognition. And we really like the opportunity of having events in present, because at the end of the day, it's always people doing business with people. And it's good to know and to see and get a first-hand impression of who are the guys behind the company and what are they doing.
Yes, of course, great. Clemens, you're muted again, maybe?
Maybe I can build on what Martin just said. It is exactly much more than just having a booth. That is certainly one important element, and you have to have people permanently at the booth so that they can talk to visitors and present the product. However, when I talk about the Digital Demo Day, it is an open innovation platform, the demo day itself, and the startup can get much more out of the Digital Demo Day when they not only have their booth and people at the booth, but when they have additional people really visiting all the other aspects of the Digital Demo Day. It's about exchanging ideas, exchanging know-how. It's about getting new stimulus for your own product development, for your own business planning. It's about talking to other startups, to speakers you find interesting on the different stages. So it's really to make most out of this open innovation platform with more people than just with one or two guys standing at the booth. And you could actually say that the demo day is also a kind of a one-day super accelerator program, because it contains all the elements of an accelerator program just for one day. You have peer-to-peer discussions with other startups. You can visit workshops. You can go to speed datings to generate leads. You can have discussions with speakers. You can be on panel discussions yourself. I mean, open innovation plus one day super acceleration, that is what we tell our startups. That is something they can really get out of the Digital Demo Day.
Okay, sounds perfect. Great. Martin, would you like to add something more to the round and the question?
Well, I think when it comes to the point of the startups, Martin just has mentioned the right aspects. I when we look into what has happened during the past month of COVID or years of COVID, is that we have seen that the personal exchange is something that cannot be replaced digitally. And at the very beginning of this round, we already discussed that if it comes to certain kind of high products which needs a high volume of explanation, which are pretty complex and often are also combined with a high investment, we see that decision makers would like to get into a personal exchange, and they want to see, they want to smell, they want to touch a certain kind of solution, and this is just not possible in a digital world. And I think when it comes to trust into high investments, we have also seen during COVID that it's really hard to build a virtual trust. The summit of everything when it comes or starts digitally is always to meet in person, and I think this is what is also so very important for startups, to really get to know the people, to show visibility of the brand, to be a player within the market, and I think this is what makes it crucial for startups to be also present on live events.
Yes.
And there's one specific element in our experience, what is most important for startups when they are on a fair, when they are exhibitors. I mean, to really grow, they need to have product market fit. Product market fit is really the prerequisite for scaling. If they don't have the product market fit, sales will be very difficult. You can do some sales in your personal network, but really to scale, you need to have product market fit. And a startup convention and being as an exhibitor there, and that is really the opportunity to test whether you have product market fit. You can simply count the number of leads, the number of business cards you collect. If you have product market fit and you sell it like warme Semmeln, then you have one discussion after the other with clients, with potential clients, and they give you your business card and ask for follow-up discussions. If you don't have product market fit, it is difficult to explain what you do, what your product benefits are. You will get a far smaller number of business cards, and that is always an indication: do I have product market fit? Am I ready to scale, or is it that I still have to work on my product, on my proposition, on the whole storyline, and try again next year?
I think that
Yes, of
point that
course.
Clemens mentioning is very important. The moment of coincidence that you have on live events. You're standing at your booth, you're not expecting anything, and somehow somebody drops into your booth. You never met him before. He just walked by, he sees your solution, and it fits perfect into the market. This moment of coincidence, you almost do not have in a virtual world. And I think that was really making a difference for startups to scale their business.
There's even a scientific term for this I recently learned. It's called effectuation. It means the management of coincidence. So really generating systematically opportunities for new business development. That's something you cannot plan. That's something you just have to, yeah, you have to leave your comfort zone. You have to go on a startup convention. You have to have your booth. You need to go out. You need to test your product. You need to learn, am I ready to scale or not?
Yes, this really sums it up why it is so important to visit such fairs and conventions. As you said, especially in the hydrogen market, we have very complex products, and that's what Malte already said. You need to showcase them, and that's not always possible in an online world. So I can say just you have to make use of these great opportunities. The Carb Expo and Digital Demo Day deliver, and as well as we provide the startups to join us. There's an open call to apply for the events we're doing. So I think we gathered a lot of positive vibes today for physical events. But what's triggering me right now is we have this larger fairs and not only startup conventions in our world. So, Marta, what do you think? How do innovation areas and the startup booths and all the stuff influence trade fairs nowadays? You often have that, startup areas who are put a little slide to the right or left, aside from the whole fair business. But I think it's important to put them more in a focused way, more in the mid of the convention. What's your opinion on that?
Well, especially when we look
And does
into
that
decarbonization.
work? Sorry.
Especially when we look into the field of Decarb Expo, I think it's really, really important to put the innovation in startups into focus and into center of the entire concept. With this new transitions and a lot of new solutions that are coming to market, I think it's really the benefit of the show itself that we try to enable business between startups, new innovation, new technologies, and application industries which are looking for solutions they need to transform their business. And I think here is the point where it comes to Messe Düsseldorf with the setup of industries that we are covering. We can enable business not only on the platform itself for the startups, as Martin just has said, it's not about the budget for the event itself. It's that we would like to accelerate business even all year long, and we can combine startups with well-established companies in various industries at Messe Düsseldorf, and this is what we would like to do also even in the future, even though through digital channels in the years in between. But when it comes to the trade show concept, I think it's really important to put them at center, to present them, to give them a stage, to link them, to match them, and to let them pitch their product, to show the market fit, as Clemens just said. And if you combine that with good infotainment within different conferences, with seminars that are tackling the up-to-date topics, when you combine it with a little bit of entertainment itself, like having a good evening to talk, a couple of beers, discussions with people you never met before, and you have the business concept of a trade show itself, where you can compare certain kind of solutions, even maybe between a startup and an established company, or they are coming into an exchange where they see it would make sense to have a certain kind of cooperation. I think that's what makes the difference between, let's say, a startup hub and a bigger trade fair that, of course, we can combine certain kind of different thematic fields within the trade show business at once. And I think this is a really benefit for startups when they can participate at joint booth or even by themselves to really enable business and help them to grow. I think that's what it's all about. It's not about the trade show, it's about the business of the startups and make them grow.
And maybe to add on that from my side, I really like the term of effectuation, I think it was, because such a focus will strengthen that opportunity also for visitors, right? If there is a certain focus on startup companies you might not be aware of existing, because that effectuation effect goes both ways. I mean, it could be that somebody's running into your booth and it's the perfect fit and it was just by coincidence, but they were maybe targeting for such a thing. But it also goes the other way around, that you're offering a service the potential customer was not aware of how big the importance is, or the topic in general, and what that might mean for the industry itself. So I think a focus within a trade show or a conference on startups, also invites a certain type of people, right? Looking for new solutions, new topics, and so on, and that might even support that kind of coincident effect of running into each other.
Yes, right. Have you had read the YouTube chat? Because we got a question. This is tackling the point you talked about. We got a question that is, who are the visitors to these demo days? Large corporates or investors, hydrogen project developers, industry and transport firms, and can we share numbers on that, was the question. So that is a lot of stuff in one sentence. So let's tackle the first one, maybe. Who are the visitors? Maybe Clemens can give us an answer who comes to Digital Demo Day in that special case.
Yeah, I can, of course. First of all, I think it's important to know that the Digital Demo Day focus is B2B industry tech. So it's not only hydrogen technology and applications. That was one sector this year, also with our H2UB team being present at Digital Demo Day. But we go across technologies and cross industries with a strict focus on B2B industry. And so that is also reflected then in the numbers. Our visitors come from different industries, and there are corporate people. Usually it's innovation managers who attend the Digital Demo Day, but we have also visitors from small and medium-sized companies. In this case, it's in most times the managing directors, or at least somebody from the board. Usually smaller companies don't have the budget to have their own dedicated innovation management teams and innovation managers like the corporates have. So the startups in this case talk to the decision makers. When they talk to corporate people, they usually talk to innovation managers, and to come to decisions, they need to work through the corporate. That is quite a challenging process. I think Martin can tell us more about this. But we also have a lot of investors. It's again that over the past 6 years, we were able to generate also the interest of tech investors. They have the permanent offices in Berlin. They are also focusing on Munich, and in NRW. We are still a bit behind the bigger ecosystems in Berlin and in Munich, and the permanent investors being there. However, at least they come to our demo day. This year we had almost 100 different VC people there, and we have a VC launch, and with our event mobile app called Talk. There are other apps like this in the market. You can do one-to-one matchmaking via the app, and then you have one-to-one conversations in our VC launch, where investors then talk to startups about maybe the next investment round.
Great. And Martin, maybe you can tell us more about the people you met at the typical trade fair we were together, who you met at eWorld, who was interested in your company, in your products, were there some special contacts you made you're still in contact with today?
Yeah, sure. So there has been a huge variety of different people joining these events, especially the eWorld, which is, I'm not sure about the statistics, but it's quite famous and has already been on our list to visit at least the trade show and do it the other way around and go to the different booths of different corporates. So we have built quite some interesting contacts there. We also followed up on some of them. But also what I would like to mention is the connection or the natural network you're basically doing when being at a community booth, or like the H2UB is providing, and inviting different startups. So there is a natural way of getting also in discussions with other startups around you, simply due to the fact that you are there from a time perspective, and you have the unique opportunity more or less to network up and down the overall value chain with other startups, taking different perspectives and so on. So we are still in contact with startups we met during the show, also during the Handelsblatt Wasserstoff Gipfel, and we are also still in follow-up contact with some bigger industry players, let's say.
One of the most important aspects, as you said, it's not only about making contacts to large corporates and selling your product and getting investments from investors or something. It's about building up an ecosystem and a network, even a network of startups and people who are have the same challenges as you have. So this is a great opportunity coming with us to the joint stands and community booths, innovation areas we are doing right now, to learn about how other startups work, who they are, and what they're up to. And I think this is one of the best and greatest opportunities you can have with us to get a strong network. And as you see, hydrogen is teamwork, so we only can do this together. So
absolutely.
Thanks on that.
And maybe to add on that a bit, also from a, let's say, from a medial reach, let's say, the support in promoting such events is, of course, absolutely helpful to startups like us, who just started to build up their own brand, to build up their own market communication, etc. So what we really appreciated is that the H2UB took great effort also in promoting that, linking to the different companies, describing who is going to join when, just the promotional work, which has been highly appreciated, because that also helps in the general recognition. As a startup, being relatively fresh on the market is not necessarily the go-to company, basically. And this needs to be built up, and there it has always also been a great support in preparing these kind of events from a communication standpoint.
Robin, you mentioned the term ecosystem. I'd like to pick up this term because I think it is very, very important to understand that a successful event, a trade show, startup convention, is able to bring together a complete ecosystem. All the representatives, all the different market players which are part of such an ecosystem. I think if you are successful in doing this as an event, then you can generate those magic moments of coincidence. Then you can really say, we have an open innovation platform for one day. And I think that is a challenge, that you convince everybody, the different players in the ecosystem, that they come to your event. And as soon as important players are missing, the ecosystem falls together, and then at the end, the whole event comes to an end. I think that is something we have seen with CeBIT, for example. CeBIT in the 90s was the ecosystem for ICT, the combination of telecoms and IT. And I was there in the 90s, and it was just great. Everybody was there. It was completely packed and crowded. And then the ITC market became bigger and bigger and bigger. It was simply at the end of the day too big to bring this market, this ecosystem as a whole to CeBIT. So I think that was the end of CeBIT, and that was the beginning of verticals, where they started to focus on certain industries or industry sectors. And with our digital demo day, we have shown this year that we are able to bring together the NRW ecosystem for B2B tech startups. And that's something we want to increase. That's where we have the ambition maybe to bring together the whole German ecosystem for tech startups one day, and maybe also the international ecosystem. However, as I said, with the example of CeBIT, there is a point where you simply become too big. You cannot have an ultimate big ecosystem on one event. I think there is a point where you have to decide to focus again. And I think Malte can also confirm this. I mean, you can see it with the different trade shows and fairs you've got. They're all focusing on a certain sector, on a certain ecosystem. At some point, you might split a bigger event into two smaller events to keep the ecosystem together.
Well, Clemens, you're absolutely right. And that's what we also have seen when you look into the history of trade. When we look after the Second World War, the big topics that have developed in Hanover, as you have mentioned, with the Deutsche Messe. That's the name of the company today. From that topic on and developing, that's where specialized trade shows and the concept when the venue in Düsseldorf was built in the 70s. Here in Stockholm as a further development of the trade show venue in the city is when we established these specialized trade shows like K, Drupa in the printing sector, or Interpack in the packaging sector. That was exactly the development that you have just described. You need to be close on the side of the industry once it's evolving and developing. And if you see like certain kind of developments are tackling a different vertical, then it would make sense to open up a new topic, a new event, to dedicate a focus on that and show or give the opportunity to these companies to specify themselves in this business. And yeah, we have seen these developments in the past, and I think it's something that will run in parallel with the trade show industry in the future as well.
Malte, I think you all made us curious now. What are the next verticals Messe Düsseldorf has in mind to start up maybe new trade shows and exhibitions for?
Well, I think the different transitions in several industries are clear. When we look, for example, in the metals industry, whether it's ferrous or non-ferrous metals, we see that the green transition is probably one of the most important topics that are going to evolve in the next come. And with the Eco Metals Day that we have in parallel with Decap Expo, I think this is one of the topics within the metal industry. Just to give an example, where we need to focus much more on in the future, and there it's not enough to have a 4-year event like the Bright Worlds of Metals here in Düsseldorf. We need to establish some solutions and events around these topics of green transition in the metals industry. And Clemens, I think that's a pretty exciting topic to look into in the future. But also when you look into the transition of mobility, there's so much going on where I think different topics will evolve in the years to come.
Yeah.
And I think digitalization is playing a big role in all of these. So I think the combination is not too far between Messe Düsseldorf and the Digital Demo Day. So really excited to also participate at your event in the next year.
Excellent.
Thanks. So you guys talked about the development of trade fairs and expos, and to see it through the eyes of a startup. What has changed? Not only developed, what has changed to make it appealing and attractive for young companies, small companies, startups to join such fairs with a slight dusty image?
I think we have tackled the topic already. I think also when I look into Martin's eyes, I think his expectation to participate at DCUP Expo is more than just having a booth at the trade show. He wants to generate business, and I think that's what mainly kind of changed also during the COVID times from trade show organizers' point of view, that startups are not only there with a joint participation to challenge certain kind of older technologies or just to show their innovation. They want to be like a big part of the market and make a difference when it comes to transition. And I think that's the expectations that startups have, and that not only on the platform in the physical stage when the event is happening, even all year round. And I think trade show organizers have understood that, and we are more than happy, to follow and to support our customers all year round. And I think, Martin, I think that's the expectation that you have on us as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't put it in better words, I would say. Fully agree. It is important for us to build up the contacts and to start business communication and follow up on this and create a really sustainable business based on this. It's also important to place our topics, as I mentioned earlier, like the coincidence effect, that there is maybe a topic we might address which has not been so much in focus as, for example, within the hydrogen industry, the focus is stronger on the electrolyzer itself, which is basically natural because it's a big part of the cost share and so on. There's technology still being developed. There is a competition between different technologies where it's unclear today if it's going that or another way. However, for us, it's important to be present, to present ourselves, to meet people face to face, to show what we can offer, who the people behind are, what our experience is, and also, like with such an event, with a accompanying conference, having the ability or the possibility to present ourselves on a bigger stage, which increases then again the attraction to companies like us or other startups in general.
You're right. I think that closes the question I had for you guys. Or would you like to add something, Clemens?
Yeah, actually, there was one question which just sprang to my mind. When we talk about hydrogen and the hydrogen market, it is actually, as far as I know, not one market. I mean, we have different industries. We have steel, chemistry, heating, automotive. We have different technologies, different application areas. I wonder whether it is possible to have one event addressing hydrogen as a whole, or whether this is already impossible and that you already have to think in verticals in either different industry sectors or to have this ecosystem effect we discussed before.
Yeah, maybe to add to this, to your answer. From my point of view, that's absolutely true. The industry is already grown too big from a consumption perspective, from a production perspective, from our very specific electrical supply perspective. Then there is marketplaces, there is digitalization in general. There is bringing together consumers and producers. So I do see a certain trend of creating those kind of verticals already. For example, during the Hanover Fair in Hanover this year, there was the first time, I think it was Hall 13, there was the majority of all the electrolyzer manufacturers at one place, which I haven't seen until then in any other trade show yet. And for example, for our topic, like more the electronics or the power electronics, we tend to go and to use trade shows which have, from a historical point of view, a stronger focus on power electronics itself. And that is the former Intersolar, or how you call it today, it's I think the Smarter E, which has traditionally from the PV solar industry then going into battery storage, and now hydrogen, a strong focus on power electronic converter companies itself, as they have a certain recognition and also a certain history on showcasing in this kind of trade show. So for us, we do see already the trend that also our topics for Cricotech, more focusing on power conversion itself, might be covered quite good within such a vertical industry, even if the history is more linked to solar PV and battery storage.
Martin, is it correct to say that you are one day a hydrogen startup, the other day you are a semiconductor microelectronics startup, the next day you are an energy startup, and
Yes.
depending on what event you go, you are either one or the other?
Yeah, basically the overall topic, which always keeps our general message together, is power electronics. So it's always that we are a power electronics startup, and it doesn't matter if we are in the industry of hydrogen, let's say. It's always power electronics, and power supply is always directly linked to semiconductors. As I mentioned earlier, we do also consult, we design, and we do some specific engineering on these topics. But the linking element basically is the power electronics itself. And there is also in the upcoming industry a certain need of specific solutions, as standardization from a power supply point of view is not given yet, due to the fact that the solutions differ from technology to technology, but also supplier to supplier, and that there is a customer or solution specific need.
Very interesting. I guess that many startups in the hydrogen space can use different labels like you do, because they are specialized in a certain area, which is on the one hand relevant to the hydrogen market, but also to other industries, other markets. So I think that is probably true for many other startups in the hydrogen space.
Yes, it really is. And we are happy to gather them all around us in our events we are planning. When it comes to ecosystem, I want to tackle it once more. Right now, we have a clear focus on the community and joint booths we are doing on the different fair types, already done this year, and which are planned, like for Decarb Expo. And one thing that is interesting for me as one who is organizing that whole stuff is what's so special about that community boost, the joint stand. You are together with 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10 startups in a small area. What are the pros and what's the perception of the visitor in whole? What do you think is important about that, and why is it so great?
So from my perspective,
Martin, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay, thank you. So from my perspective, it's the natural networking aspect, right? Sometimes you find yourself being caught up in a discussion you might have never faced with an own booth or with a very specific topic you address. And sometimes it is, or for us, it's extremely important to know who is there and what are their issues. And even if you don't think that it is directly relevant to your discussion, it's anyway interesting to see how that develops and what the customer's needs are. And it's simply the opportunity of taking a different angle or a different point of view and getting involved in these kind of discussions you might have never had.
Yes, great, of course.
Yeah, I see another opportunity with those community booths. Also something we experienced at the Digital Demo Day. One of our most successful formats were so-called guided tours. So you really provide visitors more than just they can visit the single booths, but you take them at their hands and you organize a guided tour across, for example, a community booth, and then you can give the visitors more context. You can explain the market in general, maybe how the market is structured, some more background information. You can explain them how the different startups assign the different sectors of this overall market, and you can introduce the startups step by step to the visitors, startup by startup on a very personal basis. that format was really loved by our visitors and by the startups, because they said the kind of conversation we have is much more intense, much more prepared than people just coming to our booth and I have to start at point zero. So I think that is another opportunity you have with those community booths, that you organize guided tours for visitors across the different startups on your booth.
Yes, we had that, the Japanese and the Dutch delegation at our booth on the demo day, and it was so alive. It felt so great, and because everyone from the delegation was so interested in listening to the startups and what innovations they brought with them, and you could really saw the smile in the startup guy faces, because there were 20 people just listening to you, really making contact to a broad audience, and just feeling great to present in person. And it was a very alive situation for all of us. And yeah, we had a lot of fun and interesting chats afterwards. So I really liked that aspect. Clemens was great.
Maybe I can add, whether it's a startup joint participation or an international German pavilion, it always also stands for a certain kind of competence. I think when it comes to startups with the H2UB and it's about hydrogen, they know, hey, they are all expert out of this field. And if it's a German participation in a different field, somewhere in a foreign market, the German brand, the made in Germany, we often have seen it in international participation. It stands for something. It has like a certain competence when it comes to mechanical engineering, for example. And we also have that in joint participation when it comes to startups in a certain kind of field. When people walk on these booths and have the first talk with these experts, they really feel the competence that they're at the right place when they're looking for a solution in this specific field.
Yes, would totally agree with that. Thank you, Martin. So, guys, is there anything you'd like to discuss for now? Do you have any questions? Does the audience from the live stream have any questions we can talk about? We have just a little more time.
Maybe I have a question for Martin. I would be really interested to understand, how do startups prepare a certain kind of appearance on a joint participation or a trade fair when you're that new into your business or in that market? What are the preparations you take to get most out of it?
Yeah, basically, we focus first on our natural offer, let's say, so our strengths. We highly appreciate if there is an opportunity to also have a short presentation of the company, because that helps to attract the audience or to attract also visitors to a common booth. And then, of course, we do some research more in detail to see who's around us, what kind of startups are displaying their services and products around us. Is that somehow of importance also to our direct product, or is it more within the general industry under the umbrella of green hydrogen, let's say? And from that point of view, we still keep on focusing on our main message, which is promoting our products and services, or our engineering services and our consultancy services, let's say, and have a hopefully appealing presentation to the audience of how we could support their projects, their way going forward into that new market segment of hydrogen.
Thank you, Martin. Is there anything, Clemens, that you have to deal with when you plan the demo day and before it starts? What the special needs are for startups, or is it just?
There is a point. I think Malte really stressed this, and I mentioned this several times. We really try to generate as much as benefits as much as possible for our startups, and we offer them a lot for really small money. The same time, the startups also have some responsibilities, and I think that is something we always also try to remind our startups of they have to do their homework and they really have to engage with our event. As discussed at the very beginning, it is not sufficient to just have a booth and to have one guy standing there all day long and waiting for visitors. That is one element. But it's the responsibility of the startup to bring in more people and to have them really make use as most as possible out of the whole day, out of the open innovation platform and with all the possibilities you've got in addition to just having a booth. And even having a booth there's some element where the startup has also the responsibility to understand where they are in the market and where they really have this, or what we discussed at the beginning, the product market fit. In the early years of the demo day, we did surveys with our startups. We do it till today. And we asked them, how happy are you and how many leads did you generate? And we were completely surprised. Some startups generated 100 leads and other startups just 2 or 3. And then the ones who just generated 2 or 3 leads were complaining, oh, that was not a good event. And it really took some time to understand it is because of their product market fit. They simply didn't have it. Whereas the startup with the 100 business cards, 100 leads, they had the product market fit. They were ready to scale. And I think it's really that we have to educate our startups a little bit. They have the responsibilities to make more out of an event, and they also have to understand where do they stand in the market and with their own development. Are they ready to grow, or is there some work to do? And that results then also maybe in a smaller number of leads and business cards they collect on an event. So that is a challenge we have, that we also have to educate our startups a bit.
Yes, I would totally agree with you, Clemens. So that's why we are participating at Decap Expo, because we think the hydrogen startups and the whole branch perfectly fits to Decap Expo and the trade fair, which takes place in September in Düsseldorf. I think you would agree, Malte, right?
Absolutely. I think what's also important to add with Clemens is that trade show organizers have like a really good experience when it comes to deliver business, and often the digital tools that we also developed during COVID, like expanded exhibitor profile, that exhibitor, like being a part of a matchmaking, whatever it's going to be, it's really important for startups to fill in their informations, to deliver certain kind of explanations about their products, what they're going to show at the exhibitions, because also visitors are really preparing to visit the trade show, and we have seen double digits numbers in percentage when it comes to lead generation, that companies who really prepared their participation got really more out of it than companies that didn't do it. And I think that's a really important point to really educate that these tools are not there to bother the companies to fill in certain kind of information. It really has an impact at the end because it has also a professional approach, or it makes a professional approach to the visitors and really appeals to get in contact, and this makes a difference most of the time.
Yes, I couldn't have made a better sum up of that. Thank you, Martin. So, have you any questions, guys? Or is everything done so far? So perfect, great. So thank you for your time and participating at our deep dive today. I think we learned a lot about how trade fairs and conventions work, how important live marketing is, and the physical events we've waited for so long. It's an open call to the startups, to the hydrogen startups of Europe to apply for the events we're doing on our own and participate at. And I think Martin is in Cracotech is a perfect example for how well it can work to join one of our community booths. no matter at Digital Demo Day or Decap Expo. So Digital Demo Day was in the past. Decap Expo is up next. We're so happy to be there, to have that great opportunity on this large booth we have there, 60 square meters. 6 startups will join us with the H2UB on the fair, and I'm so happy to see some of you again. At least Malte and Martin and Clemens, you are invited as well. So
Thank
it's
you.
in Düsseldorf, so maybe you can come around, grab a coffee, and talk with us about how startups present themselves at the booths. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've reached the end of the session. Thank you again for being with us. Thank you, Clemens, Malte, and Martin. It was great chatting with you again and tackling these important topics and how crucial it is to be at physical events, even for startups, and more important after the pandemic situation. So, thank you so much. I'll have a short announcement to make. As Uwe mentioned in our last deep dive, we have another hydrogen community booth, and we will be there at the Hydrogen Europe event in Bristol as part of the Hydrogen Week in late October. So if you're a startup in the hydrogen field and you would like to join us there are still some slots available. And the event takes place from 25th to 27th of October this year in Brussels. And yeah, if you would like to join us, like Martin and Krekotec did in the past, and be part of our wonderful network and ecosystem, please apply to event at h2hub.com. Would highly appreciate it. So yeah, thank you for the time. Thank you for listening so far. Have a great day and have a great weekend. Thank you. Goodbye.